The ship was bigger than anything had ever seen. It hung in the sky above the Seoul Diplomatic Center like a silver moon, blocking out the sun. He stood there with his mouth open, just like everyone else on the street. The had finally come to Earth. Was 28 years old. He worked as a translator for the Korean government. He spoke 7 languages, but none of them were alien. That was about to change. His phone rang. It was his boss. "Get to the center now. We need every translator we have." "But sir, I don't speak." "Nobody does. But you're the best we have at learning new languages. The translation software will help, but we need humans there too." The requested it. Ran. The diplomatic center was chaos. People in suits rushed everywhere. Military officers shouted orders. Scientists carried strange equipment. And in the middle of it all stood 3 aliens. Stopped and stared. They were tall, very tall. The shortest one was at least 7 feet. Their skin was pale blue like the sky on a winter morning. Their eyes were large and silver with no visible pupils. They had no hair. Instead, thin lines of light ran across their heads, pulsing softly like heartbeats. They were beautiful and terrifying. "You must be." A woman in a black suit appeared beside him. "I'm Director. You're assigned to the princess." "Princess?" Director pointed at the youngest. She stood slightly behind the others, her hands clasped in front of her. The lights on her head pulsed faster than the others. She looked nervous. "Princess Lyra, daughter of Emperor. She's here to learn about human culture. You will be her personal translator." Swallowed hard. "Me? Why me?" "Because you scored highest on the adaptation tests, and because you're young. The princess is young too. The Emperor thought she would be more comfortable with someone her own age." Director handed him a small device. "This is the translation software. It's not perfect. It's only been in development for 6 months. You'll need to fill in the gaps." Took the device. It was warm in his hand. "Don't mess this up," Director said. "The future of human relations depends on this visit." "No pressure," thought. He walked toward the princess. His heart was beating so fast he could hear it in his ears. The other 2, tall and stern-faced, watched him approach. They did not look friendly. "Hello," said. He bowed, the way he would greet anyone important in Korea. I will be your translator during your stay on Earth." The translation device hummed. A moment later, the princess tilted her head. The lights on her head flickered. She spoke. Her voice was like music, soft and flowing. The device translated. "You bow. This is a sign of respect in your culture." "Yes," said. "It is how we greet honored guests." The princess studied him with her silver eyes. "Interesting. We do not bow. To lower your head is to show weakness. To show your neck to someone is to give them power over you." Felt his face grow hot. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend." "You did not offend. You taught me something new." The princess's mouth curved slightly. It might have been a smile. "I am Princess Lyra, you may call me. What is the correct term, Your Highness?" "Yes, Your Highness." Felt a little better. Maybe this wouldn't be so hard. The next 3 days were very hard. Princess Lyra wanted to learn everything. She asked questions about everything she saw. Why do humans eat with metal sticks? Why do they cover their bodies with fabric? Why do they make sounds with their mouths when they are happy? "That's called laughing," explained. "We do it when something is funny or when we're happy." The princess frowned. "I do not understand. We do not express emotions in public. It is considered improper." "Really? Never?" "Never. Emotions are private. To show them is to be vulnerable. To be vulnerable is to be weak." Thought about this. That sounds lonely. The princess was quiet for a long moment. Perhaps it is. The translation device was a problem. It worked well for simple things, but it struggled with complex ideas, and it really struggled with human expressions. On the 4th day, everything went wrong. They were in the grand hall. The emperor himself was there, along with dozens of human leaders. It was a formal dinner, the most important event of the entire visit. Everyone was nervous. Stood beside Princess Lyra, ready to translate. The dinner went smoothly at first. Speeches were made. Toasts were given. Food was eaten, though they only pretended to eat. Apparently, human food was not safe for them. Then it was time for the informal conversation. This was supposed to be the easy part, just small talk between humans and... It was not easy. Princess Lyra turned to, I am tired, all these words, all these rules. On a formal dinner is silent, we eat, we leave, we do not speak. I understand, said. He was tired too. His brain hurt from all the translating. Just a little longer, you're doing great. He meant to say, you're doing great. But he was exhausted. His mind wandered, and what came out was something different. You're doing great, sweetie. Sweetie. The translation device hummed. It processed the word, and then it translated it into. The word it chose was not sweetie. There was no word for sweetie. There was no concept of casual pet names. The closest word the device could find was beloved treasure of my heart. The entire grand hall went silent. Princess Lyra's eyes went wide. The lights on her head pulsed rapidly. The two stern who always stood near her stepped forward, their hands moving toward their weapons. The emperor rose from his seat. He was 9 feet tall, his silver eyes fixed on like laser beams. What? The emperor said, his voice like thunder. Did you just call my daughter? Felt his blood turn to ice. He looked at the translation device. He looked at the princess. He looked at the emperor. I said. He called her a beloved treasure, one of the stern said. A term reserved for those in romantic commitment. This human has declared his intentions toward the princess in front of the entire court. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Wait, said. His voice came out as a squeak. That's not what I meant, it's a translation error. In English, sweetie is just a friendly word. You can call anyone sweetie, your friend, your pet, your grandmother. It doesn't mean anything romantic. The emperor did not look convinced. You call your grandmother your beloved treasure. Well, when you put it that way. Director was going to kill him, if they didn't kill him first. Father. Everyone turned. Princess Lyra had stepped forward. Her voice was calm, but the lights on her head were pulsing very fast. Father, I believe the human speaks the truth. I have been studying their culture. Humans use terms of affection very casually. They call strangers dear. They call children honey. They express warmth and friendliness through their words in ways we do not. The emperor looked at his daughter. You defend this human. I explain his culture. There is a difference. Princess Lyra turned to. Tell me, translator, on your world is it common to use such words with people you have just met? Nodded quickly. Yes, very common, especially in some parts of the world. In the American South, everyone calls everyone sweetie, or honey, or sugar. It's just being friendly. You see, father, a cultural difference, nothing more. The emperor was silent for a long moment. The tension in the room was so thick could barely breathe. Finally, the emperor sat back down. Very well, I will accept this explanation. But translator, you will be more careful with your words in the future. Yes, your majesty, absolutely, very careful, the most careful. The dinner continued, but everything had changed. Later that night, sat alone in the hallway outside the diplomatic quarters. His hands were still shaking. He had almost started an intergalactic war because he was tired and said, Sweetie. You are troubled. He looked up. Princess Lyra stood before him. She was alone without her usual guards. Your Highness. He started to stand, but she waved him back down. She sat beside him on the bench, an alien princess sitting next to him in a hallway. The universe was strange. I wanted to thank you, she said. Thank me, I almost got you in serious trouble. Yes, but it was the most interesting thing that has happened to me in years. The lights on her head pulsed slowly. Nothing unexpected ever happens. Everything is planned. Everything is controlled. Every word is measured and careful. It is exhausting. It sounds exhausting. It is, and then you called me sweetie and everyone lost their minds and for one moment everything was chaos. The princess's mouth curved. This time was sure it was a smile. I liked it. Stared at her, you liked it. I liked it very much. She turned to face him. Her silver eyes were bright. Will you teach me more of these words, these terms of affection that your people use so freely? You want to learn pet names. I want to learn how humans express warmth. We have forgotten how, maybe we never knew. She looked down at her hands. When you called me sweetie, I felt something. I do not know what it was, but I want to feel it again. Thought about this. It was probably a bad idea. Director would definitely not approve. The emperor would probably have him executed if he found out. But the princess looked so hopeful and so lonely. Okay, he said, I'll teach you. The lights on her head pulsed brighter. Truly. Truly, but we'll have to be careful if anyone finds out. They won't. I am very good at keeping secrets. She stood up. Tomorrow, we will begin tomorrow. Good night. Good night, Your Highness. She paused at the door. Lyra. What? When we are alone, you may call me Lyra. She smiled again, wider this time. It is not as nice as sweetie, but it is a start. She disappeared into her quarters. Sat there for a long time, staring at the door. He had just agreed to teach an alien princess how to use pet names. His life had become very strange. But as he walked back to his own room, he realized he was smiling. Maybe strange wasn't so bad. The lessons began the next day. Met Lyra in the garden behind the diplomatic center. It was early morning before the official event started. The sky was pink and orange. Birds were singing in the trees. It was peaceful. Lyra was waiting on a stone bench. She wore a simple robe, silver and flowing. Without her formal crown and jewelry, she looked younger, more normal, almost human except for her blue skin and glowing head. You came, she said. I said I would. People say many things they do not mean. I was not sure if humans were the same. Sat down next to her. Some humans are like that, but I try to keep my promises. Good, then let us begin. She turned to face him, her silver eyes bright with interest. Teach me how to be warm. Laughed, he couldn't help it. The way she said it was so serious, like she was asking him to teach her advanced physics. Lyra frowned. Why do you make that sound? I'm laughing, remember, we talked about this. Yes, but why are you laughing now? Because you're funny. The way you asked me to teach you warmth, it was cute. Cute, Lyra tilted her head. I do not know this word. It means nice, pleasing, something that makes you smile. Thought for a moment. Like a baby animal, or a small child doing something silly, or someone saying something in a way that makes you feel happy. I am like a baby animal. Laughed again. Not exactly. It's hard to explain. Cute can mean many things. It can mean pretty but in a soft way. It can mean funny but in a sweet way. It can mean small and lovable. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Humans are very complicated. We are, but that's part of what makes us human. They spent the next hour going through different terms of affection, taught her about sweetie and honey and dear. He explained the difference between sweetheart and sweet pea. He told her about love and darling and baby. Baby, Lyra looked confused. Is that not what you call your young? Yes, but we also use it for people we love. Romantic partners call each other baby. That is very strange. I know, human language is strange. Why would you call a grown person a baby? Babies are helpless. They cannot do anything. To call someone a baby should be an insult. Shrugged, maybe that's the point. When you love someone, you want to take care of them. You want to protect them, like they're precious and small, even if they're not. Lyra was quiet again. The lights on her head pulsed slowly. That is beautiful. Is it? Yes, we do not want to be seen as needing protection. We are all strong. We are all independent. To need someone is weakness. She looked at the garden around them. But sometimes I think it would be nice to be taken care of, just a little. Didn't know what to say to that. So he just sat there with her, watching the sun rise over the trees. The days turned into weeks. The official diplomatic events continued, but Lyra always found time for their secret lessons. Early mornings in the garden, late nights in the hallway outside her quarters, stolen moments between meetings. Lyra was a fast learner. She memorized every term taught her. She practiced the pronunciation until it was perfect. She asked endless questions about when and how to use each word. "Can I call anyone dear?" she asked one morning. "Well, technically yes, but it's usually for people you know well, people you care about." "What if I do not know them well, but I want them to feel welcomed?" "Then you might use it anyway. Context matters, tone matters. How you say it can change everything." Lyra nodded seriously. "And what about darling? Who can I call darling?" "Darling is more intimate, usually for close friends or romantic partners. Some people use it sarcastically, though." Sarcastically? When you say something but you mean the opposite. Like if someone does something annoying, you might say, "Oh, darling," in a way that shows you're not pleased. Lyra's eyes widened. "You use terms of love to express annoyance." "Sometimes. Human communication is complicated." "Extremely complicated." But she was smiling. She smiled a lot now, noticed, more than she ever did when they first met. It wasn't just the words that changed her. It was everything about human culture. Showed her movies and TV shows. They watched romantic comedies where people fell in love and said silly things to each other. They watched family dramas where parents called their children honey and sweetheart. They watched old couples who had been married for 50 years and still called each other my love. Lyra was fascinated by all of it. "Why do they express these feelings so openly?" she asked after watching a particularly emotional movie. "Are they not embarrassed?" "Sometimes, but humans believe that expressing love makes it stronger. If you never tell someone you love them, how will they know?" They would know because you stay. You do not leave. Your presence is enough." "But what if your presence isn't possible? What if you're far away? What if something happens?" Lyra didn't answer, but the lights on her head dimmed slightly. Realized he had touched on something painful. "Lyra, can I ask you something?" "You may." "Why are you really here? On Earth, I mean. I know the official reason is to learn about human culture, but you seem like you're searching for something." Lyra was silent for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft. "My mother died when I was young, 5 cycles old in years, about 12 in human years." "I'm sorry." "Do not be, it was long ago, but she was different from other. She was warm. She used to hold me and tell me stories. She would call me special names, private names just between us. She made me feel loved." "That sounds wonderful." "It was, and then she was gone, and my father, he loved her very much. But when she died, he closed himself off. He became cold, hard. He said that emotions had weakened him, that loving her had made him vulnerable. He forbade anyone in the palace from speaking of her, from showing any emotion at all." "Understood now. So you came to Earth to find what you lost." Lyra nodded. "Humans are the only species in the galaxy who still express emotions freely. When I heard about your culture, I begged my father to let me visit. I told him it was for diplomacy. But really, I just wanted to remember what it felt like to be warm." Reached out and took her hand. It was cool to the touch, smooth like polished stone. Lyra stiffened for a moment, then relaxed. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Holding your hand. It's something humans do when they want to comfort someone." "Comfort?" "Make them feel better." Show them they're not alone. Lyra looked at their joined hands. The lights on her head pulsed faster. This is nice. Yeah. Yes, very nice. She squeezed his hand gently. Thank you for teaching me, for being patient with me, for being warm. You're welcome, he smiled at her. And Lyra, you're not as cold as you think you are. Your mother gave you something that never went away. You just needed permission to let it out. Lyra's eyes glistened. For a moment thought she might cry, but didn't cry. At least he had never seen one cry. She said quietly, Yes. I would like to try something. May I? Of course. She took a breath, then very carefully she spoke. Thank you, sweetie. His heart stopped, the way she said it, the way her voice wrapped around the word. It was awkward and uncertain and completely sincere. You're welcome, darling, he replied. Lyra laughed. It was the first time she had ever laughed. The sound was strange, not quite like human laughter. It was musical, like bells chiming in the wind. But it was real. It was joy. It was something she hadn't felt in years. I did it, she said, her eyes bright. I laughed, I actually laughed. How did it feel? Wonderful, strange, like something inside me came unstuck. She laughed again just to feel it. Is this what humans feel all the time? When we're happy, yes. Then humans are very lucky. They sat together in the garden as the sun climbed higher in the sky. They held hands and practiced using pet names, getting more ridiculous with each one. Honey Bunny, Sugar Plum, each one made Lyra laugh more than the last. But the world outside their garden was still turning, and not everyone was happy about what was happening. Later that day, was called to director's office. Sit down, she said. Her face was serious. Sat, is something wrong? There are rumors about you and the princess. Stomach dropped, rumors. People have seen you together, in the garden, in the hallways, talking, laughing, holding hands. I'm just teaching her about human culture. That's my job. Director leaned forward. Your job is to translate, not to become friends with the princess, not to make her laugh, and definitely not to hold her hand. Director, do you have any idea how dangerous this is? They are watching everything. If they think you're getting too close to their princess, there will be consequences. For you, for our country, for the entire planet. Wanted to argue. He wanted to explain that Lyra was lonely, that she needed a friend, that teaching her to feel again was the most important thing he had ever done. But he couldn't say any of that. I understand, Director. I'll be more careful. You'll stop, completely. From now on, your interactions with the princess will be strictly professional. No more private meetings, no more lessons, no more whatever it is you've been doing. But that's in order. Left the office feeling like the ground had been pulled out from under him. He walked through the hallways in a daze. How was he going to tell Lyra? How could he explain that they had to stop? He found her in their usual spot in the garden. She was sitting alone, watching the flowers. She smiled when she saw him. I was practicing. Listen, hello, my dear sweet honey bear, did I say it right? He couldn't smile back. Lyra, we need to talk. Her smile faded. What is wrong? We have to stop. The lessons, I mean. People are watching. My boss found out. She says it's too dangerous. Dangerous? For diplomacy, for Earth. If your father thinks something inappropriate is happening. Lyra stood up. The lights on her head were pulsing rapidly. But nothing inappropriate is happening. You are teaching me. That is all. I know, but they don't see it that way. They see a human getting too close to an alien princess. They see a risk. Lyra was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was controlled, too controlled. I understand. You must do what your leaders command. I should not have asked you to take this risk. Lyra, please do not make this harder. She turned away from him. We should not meet like this anymore. It is better for everyone. Wanted to reach out to her. Wanted to tell her that he didn't care about the risk. That spending time with her was worth any consequence. But the words stuck in his throat. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know." She didn't turn around. "Goodbye." She walked away and stood alone in the garden, surrounded by flowers and birdsong, feeling colder than he had ever felt in his life. 3 days passed. They were the longest 3 days of his life. He still saw Lyra at official events. He still translated for her when required, but everything was different now. Their conversations were short and formal. She called him translator. He called her Your Highness. The warmth between them was gone. It was killing him. He tried to tell himself it was for the best. He was just a translator. She was a princess of an interstellar empire. They came from different worlds, literally. There was no future for them. There never could be. But every time he saw her across a crowded room, his heart ached. Every time he heard her voice, flat and emotionless again, he wanted to scream. She was slipping back into her old self, the cold, distant princess, the girl who never laughed. And it was his fault. On the 4th day, something unexpected happened. Was in his small room at the diplomatic center, staring at the ceiling and feeling sorry for himself. A knock came at his door. "Come in," he said. The door opened. A guard stepped inside. It was one of the 2 stern ones who always followed Lyra, jumped to his feet. "Is something wrong? Is the princess okay?" The guard looked at him with those silver eyes. For a moment thought he was going to be arrested, or killed, or both. "The princess wishes to see you," the guard said. "What? But I thought." "She wishes to see you. Now, secretly, will you come?" Didn't hesitate. "Yes." The guard led him through a maze of hallways he had never seen before. They went upstairs and downstairs. They passed through doors that required special codes. Finally, they reached a small room high up in the center. The window looked out over the city, glittering with lights. Lyra was there. She turned when he entered. The lights on her head pulsed rapidly. She looked nervous. "You came." "Of course I came." He looked at the guard who had positioned himself by the door. "But Lyra, this is dangerous, if anyone finds out." "They will not find out. Torin is loyal to me. He served my mother before me. He will not tell anyone." Glanced at the guard. Torin nodded once, his face expressionless. "Why did you call me here?" asked. Lyra walked toward him. She stopped just a few feet away, close enough that he could see the subtle glow of the lights under her skin. "I could not stop thinking about you," she said. "About our lessons, about the words you taught me, about how I felt when I was with you." "Lyra." "No, let me speak, please." She took a breath. We are taught that emotions are weakness, that caring for someone gives them power over you, that the best way to be strong is to need no one." Her voice wavered slightly. "But I do not feel strong when I am alone. I feel empty. I feel cold. I have felt cold for so long that I forgot what warmth was like." Listened, his heart pounding. "And then I met you, and you called me sweetie by accident, and instead of being offended, I was delighted. You taught me words that do not have. You showed me movies where people cry and laugh and hold each other. You held my hand and it felt like the sun coming out after a long winter." She looked into his eyes. "How can that be weakness? How can something that feels so good be wrong?" "It's not wrong," said softly. "It's human, and maybe it's too, you just forgot." "Then help me remember, please. I do not care about the rules. I do not care about the danger. She hesitated. "I just do not want to be cold anymore." Made his decision. It was probably stupid. It would probably get him in serious trouble. But some things were worth the risk. "Okay," he said. "We keep meeting in secret. We'll be careful, but we don't stop." Lyra's face lit up. The lights on her head pulsed so brightly that for a moment she looked like she was glowing all over. "Truly, truly." She reached out and took his hand. Her fingers were cool, but her grip was strong. Thank you, my dear sweet honey bear. He laughed. You remembered. I remember everything you taught me. She squeezed his hand. Now teach me more. And so the secret lessons continued. They met in the hidden room, high above the city whenever they could, sometimes late at night, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes in the brief gaps between official events. Torin always stood guard, silent and watchful. The lessons were different now. Before had taught Lyra about words, now he taught her about feelings. He taught her about happiness, about the simple joy of a sunny day or a good meal or a joke that made you snort with laughter. He taught her about sadness, about how it was okay to feel bad sometimes, how crying could actually make you feel better. He taught her about fear. Everyone is afraid of something, he said. The trick is not to let fear control you, to feel it, acknowledge it, and then do what you need to do anyway. What are you afraid of? Lyra asked. Thought about it. Right now, I'm afraid of losing you. Lyra was quiet. Then she leaned her head against his shoulder. It was the most physical affection she had ever shown him. He held very still, afraid to break the moment. I'm afraid of the same thing, she whispered. He taught her about love. This was the hardest lesson, not because love was complicated, though it was, but because the more he taught her, the more he realized what he felt for her. Love is when someone becomes more important to you than yourself, he explained one night. When their happiness matters more than your own, when you would do anything to protect them, to help them, to make them smile. That sounds terrifying, Lyra said. It is, but it's also the best feeling in the universe. She looked at him with those silver eyes. Have you ever been in love? He couldn't lie to her, not anymore. I think I might be, right now. Lyra didn't say anything, but she took his hand and held it tight. The weeks passed. The diplomatic mission was supposed to end soon. They would return to their home planet and everything would go back to normal. Tried not to think about it. He tried to live in the moment, to enjoy every second he had with Lyra, but the future hung over them like a storm cloud. One night, Lyra asked him a question. What is the word for someone you want to spend your life with? He said, or life partner or just love of your life. And humans really believe they can find such a person, one person out of billions who is meant for them. Some humans believe that. Others think love is a choice, that you decide to love someone and then you work at it every day. Which do you believe? Thought about it. I think it's both. You find someone who feels right, and then you choose them every single day no matter what. Lyra nodded slowly. I like that, the choosing part. It means love is not just something that happens to you, it is something you do. Exactly. She turned to face him. In the dim light of the room, her skin seemed to glow from within. She was beautiful. She was strange. She was everything he never knew he wanted. She said, I would like to practice something, a word you taught me. Which word? She took a deep breath. Her lights pulsed rapidly. She was nervous, but she spoke anyway. Darling. The word hung in the air between them. The way she said it was different from before. Before, she had been practicing, trying it out, learning the shape of it. Now she meant it. Lyra. I know we come from different worlds, she said quickly. I know there are 1,000 reasons why this is impossible, but when I am with you, I feel things I have never felt before. Warm things, good things, things I do not want to lose. I feel them too. Then perhaps, she hesitated, perhaps this is what love feels like, the thing humans write songs about, the thing that makes them cry and laugh at the same time, the thing that is terrifying and wonderful all at once. Reached up and touched her face. Her skin was cool and smooth under his fingers. She closed her eyes and leaned into his touch. Hey, sweetie, he said softly. Lyra opened her eyes. They were shining with something he had never seen before. Joy, hope, Love. Yes, darling, she replied. And then she laughed. A real laugh, full and bright and wonderful, and laughed too, because the moment was absurd and beautiful and perfect. Because they were a human and an alien, falling in love in a hidden room, using pet names like they were characters in a romantic comedy. We are ridiculous, Lyra said, still laughing. Completely ridiculous, agreed. I do not care. Neither do I. They sat there together, holding hands and laughing, while the city glittered below them and the stars shone above. But they were not as hidden as they thought. The next morning was called to a meeting. It was not with director, it was with the delegation. He entered the room to find three waiting for him, not Lyra, not Torin, three nobles from the emperor's court. They looked at him the way a cat looks at a mouse. Translator, one of them said, "We have been watching you." Felt ice crawl down his spine. Watching me. We know about your secret meetings with the princess. We know about the hidden room. We know about everything. His heart stopped. How? Did you really think you could hide from us? We have technology your species cannot begin to imagine. Every word you said to her, every touch, every laugh, we saw it all. Felt sick. Where is Lyra? Is she okay? They ignored his question. The princess has been confined to her quarters. She will not be attending any more events, and you, translator, will be dealt with. Dealt with? You have corrupted a member of the royal family. You have filled her head with human weakness. You have made her forget her duty, her people, her very nature. The leaned forward. The punishment for such crimes is death. His knees went weak, but he forced himself to stay standing, to stay calm. I haven't corrupted anyone, he said. I've just shown her that it's okay to feel. That's not a crime, that's being alive. On your world, perhaps, but she is not from your world, she is, and do not feel. Then why does she? Why did she come all this way, searching for warmth if she doesn't feel anything? They exchanged glances. They seemed uncomfortable with the question. The Emperor will decide your fate, one of them said finally. Until then, you will be held here. Do not attempt to contact the princess. Do not attempt to escape. Do not speak of this to anyone. They left, the door locked behind them. Was alone. He sat down on the cold floor and put his head in his hands. He had known the risks. He had known what could happen. But he had done it anyway because Lyra needed him, because he loved her. And now, because of that love, they might both pay with their lives. He didn't know how long he sat there. Hours, maybe. The room had no windows. Time had no meaning. Then the door opened. It was Torin, the silent guard, Lyra's protector. Come with me, he said, quickly, there is not much time. Where are we going? The princess has a plan, but we must move now. Didn't ask any more questions. He followed Torin into the darkness, hopping against hope that somehow, someway, they could still find a happy ending. Torin moved fast through the dark hallways, struggled to keep up. His heart was pounding, his mind was racing. What was happening? What was the plan? They stopped at a door didn't recognize. Torin pressed his hand against a panel, and the door slid open. Inside was a small room filled with screens and controls. Wait here, Torin said. She will come. She, you mean Lyra. The princess will explain everything. I must return before I am missed. Torin paused at the door. For the first time, his stern face showed something like emotion. Protect her, human. She is the last good thing about our people. Then he was gone. Waited. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of machinery. He paced back and forth, too anxious to sit still. The door opened again. Lyra rushed in. She ran to him and grabbed his hands. You are safe. I was so worried. Me, you're the one they locked up. Are you okay? I am fine. They underestimate me because I am young and female. They think I am soft, but I am still the daughter of an emperor. Her silver eyes flashed. I have resources they do not know about. Lyra, what's going on? The nobles said something about punishment, about death. Her face darkened. Lord has demanded a trial. He is one of the oldest nobles in my father's court. He has always hated humans. He says you have committed crimes against by influencing me. He wants you executed as an example. Felt his stomach drop. Can he do that? Technically, no. You are on Earth soil. Human laws protect you here, but has proposed something else. Something that does not violate the treaty. What? A challenge. Stared at her. What kind of challenge? When there is a dispute that cannot be solved through negotiation, the parties may engage in formal combat. It is ancient tradition. The winner is considered right. The loser. She didn't finish the sentence. Dies said flatly. Yes. And wants to fight me. He has challenged you, yes. But I have claimed the right to choose a champion. It is my honor that is supposedly at stake, so I may choose who defends it. Hope flickered, so someone else can fight for me. In theory, but there is a problem. Lyra's face was troubled. Is the greatest warrior in the court. He has never lost a challenge. Our people are stronger, faster, and more skilled than humans. Any champion I choose would likely be defeated. Then what do we do? There is one option, a rule so old that most have forgotten it. Lyra took a deep breath. If the challenged party fights for themselves and survives for a certain period of time without being killed, they are considered to have proven their worth. They do not need to win. They only need to endure. How long? 100 heartbeats. Did the math in his head. About 2 minutes. 2 minutes of surviving against the greatest warrior in the empire. That's insane, he said. Yes. I'll be killed in seconds. Probably. Then why are you even telling me this? Lyra looked at him with those silver eyes. Because I wanted you to have a choice. You can refuse the challenge. Cannot force you to fight on human soil. But if you refuse, he will use it as proof that humans are cowards. That I was foolish to spend time with one. That everything between us was a mistake. And you, what happens to you? My father will likely confine me to the palace for the rest of my life. I will be married to someone of his choosing. I will never see Earth again. Never see you again. Was quiet for a long moment. He thought about his life before all this. It had been ordinary, safe, boring. He had been a translator, nothing more. Someone who sat in rooms and changed words from one language to another. Then Lyra had come, and everything had changed. I'll do it, he said. Lyra's eyes widened. No, I did not tell you this to pressure you. I just wanted you to know. I know, but I'm doing it anyway. He took her hands in his. Listen to me. Before you came, I was just going through the motions. Wake up, go to work, come home, sleep, repeat. I had nothing that mattered, nothing that made me feel alive. You changed that. You made me feel things I never felt before. You made me laugh, really laugh. You made me care about something bigger than myself. If fighting some alien warrior is the price for keeping that, then it's a price I'll pay. But you will die. Maybe, probably, but at least I'll die for something real, for someone I love. He squeezed her hands. And who knows, maybe I'll surprise everyone. Humans are good at that. Lyra's lights pulsed rapidly. Her voice trembled. You are the bravest person I have ever known, human or. I'm terrified, actually. That is what makes it brave. She hugged him then. It was the first time they had ever embraced. Her body was cool against his, firm and strong. She held him tight, like she never wanted to let go. I will not let you die, she whispered. I will find a way, I promise. Just promise me something else. Anything. If the worst happens, don't go back to being cold. Don't let them take away what you found. Keep feeling. Keep laughing. Keep using those pet names even if it makes everyone uncomfortable. She laughed through what might have been tears. I promise, sweetie. That's my girl. The challenge was set for the next day. News spread quickly through the diplomatic center. A human had been challenged to formal combat by a noble. No one expected him to survive. Was given a room to prepare. He didn't know how to prepare for something like this, so he just sat there thinking about his life, about his family back home, about everything he had done and everything he had left undone. Director came to see him. "You're an idiot," she said. "Probably. You could refuse. No one would blame you." "I would blame me." She stared at him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, she sat down beside him. "I was wrong to try to separate you and the princess," she said quietly. "I was so focused on diplomacy, on not making waves, that I forgot why we make contact with other species in the first place. To understand them, to connect with them, to share what makes us human. It's okay, you were just doing your job." "No, you were doing the job, the real job, building bridges that paperwork never could." She put a hand on his shoulder. "For what it's worth, I'm proud of you, and whatever happens tomorrow, the world will remember what you did here." "Thanks, Director." She left, was alone again. That night, Lyra came to him. She slipped into his room and sat beside him in the dark. "I cannot sleep," she said. "Neither can I. I keep thinking about tomorrow, about what could happen, about losing you." "Hey," he put his arm around her. "We have tonight, let's not waste it on worrying. What should we do instead? Tell me about not the politics or the traditions, the good stuff, the things you loved as a child." So she told him. She told him about the crystal forests that sang when the wind blew through them, about the great oceans that glowed at night with billions of tiny creatures, about the mountains so tall that their peaks touched the edge of space. She told him about her mother, about the songs she used to sing, about the games they used to play, about the secret names they had for each other. "She called me her little star," Lyra said softly, "because I was born during a meteor shower. She said I was the universe's gift to her." "That's beautiful." "I have not thought about it in years. It hurt too much to remember." She looked at him. "But with you, remembering does not hurt. It feels like healing." They talked until the sky began to lighten, about everything and nothing, about their hopes and fears, about what they would do if they had a future together. "I would show you my world," Lyra said. "The real, not just the cold parts, the hidden places where beauty still lives." "And I would take you to Korea," said, "to meet my family, to eat real Korean food, to walk through the streets of Seoul at night when all the lights come on and the city feels magical." "That sounds wonderful." "It would be." As dawn broke, Lyra stood to leave. At the door, she turned back. "I need to tell you something." "What?" "I love you." The words came out steady and clear. "I did not know what love was before I met you. I thought I understood from the movies and the books, but I did not. Not until I felt it myself." Her lights pulsed softly. "Whatever happens today, I want you to know that I love you, my dear, sweet, brave human." Felt his heart fill with something warm and golden. "I love you too, Lyra, my ridiculous, glowing alien princess." She smiled, and then she was gone. The arena was hastily built in the courtyard of the diplomatic center. Humans and gathered around the edges, all of them watching, waiting. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Stood at one end, he wore simple clothes. He had no weapons, no armor, he was just a man. At the other end stood Lord. Was massive, nearly 8 feet tall, with shoulders as wide as a doorway. His pale blue skin was marked with scars from countless battles. His silver eyes held nothing but contempt. "So this is the human who has corrupted our princess," said, his voice echoing across the arena. "I expected someone more impressive." Didn't respond. He was too busy trying not to throw up. The Emperor sat in a special booth above the arena. Princess Lyra stood beside him. Her face was calm, but could see her hands gripping the railing so hard that her knuckles were pale. "The rules are simple," the Emperor announced. The human must survive for 100 heartbeats. If he does, he will be declared innocent of all charges and this matter will be closed. If he falls before then, he didn't need to finish. Begin. Moved like lightning. One moment he was standing still. The next he was right in front of, his massive fist swinging toward his head. Ducked, pure instinct, nothing more. The fist whistled over his head, close enough to feel the wind. Lucky growled. He swung again and again. Dodged, rolled, stumbled, scrambled. He wasn't fighting back. He couldn't. All he could do was survive. 10 heartbeats, 20, 30. His lungs were burning. His legs were shaking. Was relentless, a machine of violence that never tired, never slowed. 40 heartbeats, 50. Caught him with a glancing blow to the shoulder. Spun, crashed to the ground. Pain exploded through his body. He heard Lyra cry out from the booth above. "Stay down, human," said, standing over him. "Die with dignity." Looked up at the alien warrior. Looked past him to the booth where Lyra was standing. She was leaning forward, her lights pulsing wildly, her eyes fixed on him. He thought about everything she had taught him, about courage, about choosing love even when it was terrifying. 60 heartbeats. He got up. His eyes widened. Impossible. Humans are good at impossible things, gasped. He kept moving, kept dodging, kept surviving. 70 heartbeats, 80. His body was screaming, every muscle burned, every breath was agony, but he didn't stop. 90 heartbeats. Roared in frustration. He grabbed by the throat and lifted him off the ground. His vision went dark around the edges. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. But he could count. 95, 96, 97. Die hissed. 98, 99. Enough, the Emperor's voice rang out. 100. Dropped him, collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. His throat was on fire. His body was broken. But he was alive. "The human has survived," the Emperor announced. "The challenge is complete." The courtyard erupted in chaos. Humans were cheering, were shouting, was standing frozen, staring at like he couldn't believe what had just happened. And above it all, Lyra's voice rang clear as a bell. He did it, he survived. Lay on the ground, looking up at the sky. Stars were beginning to appear in the darkening blue. He was battered, bruised, probably broken in several places. But he had done it. And somewhere in the noise and confusion, he heard Lyra laugh. That beautiful, musical laugh that had started everything. It was the best sound he had ever heard. Woke up in a hospital bed, everything hurt. His throat, his shoulder, his ribs, even blinking hurt, but he was alive. The first thing he saw was Lyra's face. She was sitting beside his bed, her hand resting on his arm. When she saw his eyes open, her lights pulsed so bright that for a moment she looked like she was made of starlight. "You're awake," she breathed. "How long was I out?" 2 days. The healers said you had several broken bones and internal injuries. They were worried about damage to your throat. Her voice caught. They were not sure you would wake up at all. Tried to sit up, but the pain pushed him back down. "Where am I?" "The medical wing of the diplomatic center. My father allowed the human doctors to treat you. He was," she paused, searching for the right word, "impressed." "Impressed?" "You stood against Lord. No one has ever survived his challenge before. You were small and weak and had no chance at all. And yet you survived." Lyra smiled. "My father respects courage, even in humans." Closed his eyes. The memories of the fight came back in flashes. The fear, the pain, the desperate counting in his head. He had truly thought he was going to die. "Hey," Lyra said softly, "look at me." He opened his eyes. "You did it," she said. "You proved yourself, and now everything is different." "Different how?" Lyra took a deep breath. The lights on her head pulsed in a pattern had never seen before. She seemed nervous, but also excited. My father has agreed to extend the diplomatic mission indefinitely. He says there is much that can learn from humans about courage, about emotion, about, she paused, about warmth. He actually said that. Not in those exact words. He is still my father, still the emperor. He does not admit to feelings easily, but I could see it in his eyes when he watched you fight. Something changed in him. She squeezed hand. He said that any species that could produce someone like you deserves closer study. Laughed, then winced as pain shot through his ribs. Closer study, that's romantic. It is for my father. Lyra's face grew serious. There is more. Lord has been censured for his behavior. His challenge was deemed excessive. He has been sent back to in disgrace. So no more death threats. No more death threats. Let out a long breath. For the first time since this whole thing started, he felt like he could relax. And what about us? He asked. What happens now? Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she reached into her robe and pulled out a small object. It was a pendant made of some crystal that seemed to glow with its own inner light. This belonged to my mother, she said. It has been in our family for generations. When someone chooses a partner for life, they give them a piece of their history, a symbol of their commitment. Stared at the pendant. Lyra, are you? I am asking you to be with me, not just for now but for always. She held the pendant out to him. I know it will not be easy. I know there will be challenges. 2 different worlds, 2 different cultures. But I have learned something these past weeks. I have learned that the hardest things are often the most worthwhile. Reached out and took the pendant. It was warm in his hand, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. Is this some kind of proposal? He asked. I believe that is the human word for it, yes. Smiled, it hurt, but he didn't care. Then my answer is yes. Lyra's face lit up brighter than he had ever seen. She leaned down and pressed her forehead to his, a gesture of deep affection. I love you, my sweet, brave, ridiculous human. I love you too, Lyra, my beautiful, glowing alien princess. They stayed like that for a long moment, foreheads touching, hearts beating together. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. News of what had happened spread across both planets. A human translator had won the heart of a princess. It was the kind of story that captured everyone's imagination. Some people called it a fairy tale. Others called it the beginning of a new era. Recovered slowly. The doctors said he would always have scars from the fight. He didn't mind. They were proof of what he had done, what he had survived. Lyra never left his side. She helped him through the painful days of healing. She made him laugh when the pain was too much. She taught him words the same way he had taught her human pet names. Vila, she said one day. It means light. It is what I will call you, my light in the darkness. Vila repeated, I like that. And you, what will you call me, sweetie, honey, darling? Thought about it, all of them and more. I'll call you whatever makes you smile. Lyra smiled. Then you will be very busy. When was well enough to travel, Lyra took him to meet her father. The emperor ruler of 1,000 worlds, lord of billions of lives, had never been more terrified. The throne room was massive. Golden light poured in from windows that stretched to the ceiling. The emperor sat on a throne that looked like it was carved from a single massive crystal. Bowed, it seemed appropriate. Rise, human, the emperor said. His voice was like thunder. You do not need to bow to me. Stood up surprised. Your Majesty. You have proven yourself in the arena. You have earned the respect of my people, and you have made my daughter happy. The emperor's silver eyes studied him. I do not understand human emotions. I do not know if I approve of them, but I cannot deny their power. Thank you, Your Majesty. My daughter wishes to divide her time between Earth and she wishes to continue learning from humans. She wishes to be with you. The emperor paused. I have agreed to this. Felt his heart soar. You have. I have, but know this, human. If you ever hurt her, if you ever make her regret this choice, I will find you, and no challenge will save you. The Emperor leaned forward. Do you understand? Nodded. I understand, sir, and I promise. I will spend every day making sure she never regrets choosing me. The Emperor studied him for a long moment. Then, impossibly, the corner of his mouth twitched upward. It might have been a smile. You are either very brave or very foolish, human. I cannot tell which. Probably both, admitted. The Emperor actually chuckled. The sound seemed to surprise even him. Go, he said, be with my daughter, make her laugh, show her more of this human warmth she speaks of. He waved his hand. And perhaps show me as well. I am curious about these things. Bowed again, then turned and walked out of the throne room. Lyra was waiting outside. She ran to him and grabbed his hands. What did he say? What happened? You were in there for so long, I was so worried. I thought maybe he had changed his mind, I thought. Lyra smiled at her. Breathe. She stopped, took a breath. Sorry, I am nervous. Everything is fine, better than fine. Your father gave us his blessing. We can be together, really together. Lyra's eyes widened. The lights on her head exploded in a cascade of color. Truly. Truly. She threw her arms around him and hugged him so tight he thought his ribs might break again. But he didn't care. He hugged her back just as tight. I cannot believe it, she said into his shoulder. After everything, after all the challenges, we actually get a happy ending. This isn't an ending, said. It's a beginning. She pulled back and looked at him. A beginning of what? Everything, our life together, our future. The story of how a human translator and an alien princess taught the galaxy how to feel. Lyra laughed, that beautiful musical laugh that he would never get tired of hearing. You are so dramatic. You love it. I do, she took his hand. Come, let me show you my world, the real, the beautiful parts. They walked together through the crystal palace, hand in hand. Outside, the twin suns were setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. It was the most beautiful sunset had ever seen. But not as beautiful as the woman beside him. Hey, sweetie, he said. Lyra's lights pulsed softly. Yes, darling. Thank you. For what? For not giving up, for believing in us, for taking a chance on a clumsy translator who called you the wrong thing in front of an entire diplomatic delegation. Lyra squeezed his hand. It was the best mistake anyone ever made. Yeah, it really was. They stopped at a balcony overlooking the crystal forest. In the fading light, the trees began to sing, a soft harmony that seemed to come from everywhere at once. My mother used to bring me here, Lyra said softly. When I was small, she would hold me and we would listen to the trees together. It was our special place. Put his arm around her. Then it's our special place now. Yes, she leaned against him. It is. They stood there as the sun set and the stars came out. Two people from different worlds, brought together by an accident, held together by choice. In the years that followed, their story became legend. The human who taught them to feel. The princess who chose love over duty. The couple who laughed in the face of ancient traditions and showed the galaxy that connection, real connection, was worth any risk. They divided their time between Earth and just as the Emperor had allowed. On Earth, they lived in a small house outside Seoul, where his family embraced Lyra as one of their own. His mother taught her to make Korean food. His father taught her to play chess. His younger sister became her best friend. On they worked together to change the culture, one small step at a time. They opened schools that taught emotional expression. They created programs that helped reconnect with their feelings. They wrote books and gave speeches and showed everyone that warmth was not weakness. It was not easy. Change never is. But they faced every challenge together the way they had faced everything from the beginning. And every night, no matter where they were, they ended the same way. Hey, sweetie, one of them would say. "Yes, darling," the other would reply. And then they would both laugh. Because that was how it all started. A mistake, a misunderstanding, a human expression that an alien princess had never heard before. And from that tiny spark, a fire that warmed two worlds. Love, it turned out, really was the most human thing of all. And now it was too.